Hello, I'm Xander. Welcome to this Django ORM query challenge. Now you can follow along with these challenges like a Django ORM workshop or tutorial if you're just getting started out, or use it to test your current Django query skills. You can find the source code and the setup instructions for all of our challenges linked in the video description. In this challenge 2.1, our goal is to retrieve the first and last 5 products entered into the product table. So if you need to take a look at the inventory models, just familiarize yourself with the product model. And in addition to that, you can access the data that's inserted into the database. So if you head over to the Postgres data folder, you can take a look at the product data. And we can see here that there are 30 records inserted in our product table. So our goal is to return the first 5 products entered into the product table and the last 5 products. In addition to returning only the first and last 5 product entries, we need to filter by active products only, order by ID, and return all the fields. So we don't need to necessarily select individual fields to return. And as an extra step, we should not return duplicate records. Imagine we only had 8 records in the product table, and we tried to select the first 5 and the last 5 products. Potentially, we would return duplicates. So potentially, we need to perform extra tasks to filter the data before returning it back to the client. So take a moment to try this yourself. Pause the video here, and if or when you're ready, I'll walk you through the many solutions step by step. There will be many solutions here. If one of the solutions isn't similar to your solution, I'll be very interested to hear how you would tackle this challenge. Right, so I'm going to take you through a few different approaches to resolve this challenge. We'll take a look at some of the strengths and weaknesses and performance benefits and drawbacks. Right, so looking at the challenge, we need to retrieve the first and last 5 products. So instantly, you might start thinking, well, potentially I need to build 2 queries, one to return the first 5 and one to return the last 5. And that might be an appropriate approach here. But let's first of all take a look at how maybe we can just generate the result using one query. So first of all, we create a query set of all active products. So we use a filter and filter out only active products. And then, of course, we're also going to be ordering the results by the product ID in ascending order in this case. So this ensures that we get a consistent and predictable order from oldest to newest. So next we count how many products are in the filtered list. We store that number in the variable called total, and this helps us later when we want to get the last 5 products. Right, so next up we try to return the first 5 products. Remember, we've already ordered by ID in ascending order. So if we return the first 5 products returned in this query set, that should represent the first 5 products that was entered into the product table. So here you can see that we take our query set, we run our slice to give us the earliest 5 active products based upon their ID, and we immediately convert the result into a list so we can reuse it easily. So we're now going to return the last 5 products. So to do this, we calculate the starting index. So we use the total, so we know how many are returned in the query set. So what we're trying to do here is to start the slice at the end. By knowing what the total is, we know where to start. So we minus 5 to represent the fact we want to only return the last 5 in the query set. And here we're using max and 0 to avoid a negative index in the case there are fewer than 5 products in total. So we slice from the position to the end and convert the result into a list. Right, so now that we have all of our products returned that's required, we need to ensure that we don't have any duplicate records. So to prevent duplicates, for example, if there are fewer than 10 products and some appear in both slices, we're going to use a dictionary comprehension keyed by product ID. So this will automatically remove duplicates. All right, so what we're doing here, we're combining the 2 lists. And then here is our dictionary comprehension. So it loops through the combined list for each product, so P, it creates a dictionary entry. So key is the PID, that's the unique ID of the product, and value of the product object. So since dictionary keys must be unique, if a product ID appears more than once, the last occurrence will be overridden by the earlier one. So this is how duplicates get removed. So at the end here we use values. So this gets just the values from the dictionary, that is the product objects without the IDs. And then finally you can see that we've wrapped that up in a nice list here to convert the dictionary values into a proper Python list. So we've now returned a list of unique products to be serialized. And of course, that's exactly what we do here. And hopefully now we can view this in action. All right, so if you haven't got Docker started, then just go ahead and run docker compose up, build D. Everything else should be automated. Just allow that. Okay, so head over to localhost 8080/docs. Let's take a look at this 2.1 challenge endpoint. We'll execute, and you can see that we're returning product 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's the first 5 products. So ID 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then after that, you can see we're then returning 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. So we have returned 10 products, but notice that we didn't return product 30. You may be wondering why that is if you took a look at the data, and that's because the isActive is set to false. So that wasn't returned in the initial query set, so of course that isn't included in the output. Remember, we were filtering by isActive only. Right, so let's think about the strengths and weaknesses of this approach. So probably the main benefit of this approach is that we're only using one query. Or at least it might seem that way until we dive a little bit deeper. So what I've done here in the code base, in our core, in settings, I've set a few different loggers. And this is going to log out the SQL that's generated from our queries. And we can then determine how many, for example, queries were run. Now you can view this in your Docker container. So if you head over to Docker Desktop and you want to see this, go over to the app ORM challenge mode and then just clear the terminal and then go back to the front end, challenge 2.1, we'll execute again. So just run the same query and it should be the same results. And now you can see the output. And here you can see all of the queries that were run from our endpoint. So in actual fact, we are creating 3 queries. And if we take a look at why that is first of all, here we are running count. So we're counting how many products there are in our product table. So that's one query. And then for every time we slice, a query is generated. So let's see if we can improve upon this. Now we know that Django has the order by method, which allows us to order products in ascending or descending order. So potentially we could utilize that to return the first and the last 5 products from the query set. So we probably don't need total here. So let's remove total. Well, actually, let's remove this approach. And now we'll go ahead and take a slightly different approach. So we're going to return everything in products in this case, and we're going to combined lists. So let's take a look at this approach first. So we're going to create 2 queries. So the first query, we're going to run product.objects.filter is active true, order by, and then we're going to slice. So that's going to provide, or that's going to give us a way of returning the first 5 records. And then we're going to combine that with another list. So we'll go ahead and plus a new list. And this time we're going to order by using descending. And of course, that's going to then place the last 5 products at the top of our list. And then we can go ahead and slice those to return the last 5 products. So we now have a different way of returning the first and the last 5 products from the product table. Right, so now of course we need to filter those to ensure that we don't have any duplicates. So for that, the same type of approach, but of course now everything is in products. So that's the only change that we need to make there. So that should now return a list of products without any duplicates. So same approach, just a slightly different setting. So let's give that a go. Right, so let's start by clearing our Docker container terminal. Let's go back and execute again. And this time we return the same results. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25. Now you can see straight away that the result has ordered the last 5 in descending order, but we have the first 5 in ascending order. And that's obviously because of how we're ordering here in ascending and descending order. Now, if we take a look at our Docker desktop, we can now see we have reduced the amount of queries to 2. Right, so this isn't the most readable and extension of that maintainable type of query where we're concatenating 2 lists together. So we might want to change that slightly. So with a little bit of refactoring, we can clearly now see there are 2 queries. We go ahead and refactor the list comprehension to include the 2 lists to combine them first, and everything else is exactly the same. In order for us to follow the specifications, remember we are expecting to order by ID. We can use a simple approach, so the built-in Python function sorted, this will return a new sorted list based upon the product ID. So we go ahead and sort the list, and now when we return the products, everything should be in order of ID. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 25 to 29. So for many scenarios, this might be a valid approach. We have complete control over the queries, combining and sorting and returning the data. Now, there is a different approach we can take, and that's using union. So using the query set union method in Django, it lets us to combine the results of 2 or more query sets, similar to the SQL union command, which is happening behind the scenes here. So it's used when we want to merge data from multiple queries into a single set of results, which is typically what we're doing here. So this is what it's going to look like. First of all, we generate the 2 queries we want to merge. So similar to what we've already done, we're using order by on the ID ascending and then descending and then slicing the top 5 products. And then we're going to run a union. So here you can see that we're combining the products. So this is first 5 query set, okay, and then dot union. And then we're going to specify the last 5 query sets. Hence, we are then performing a union. We're merging data from multiple queries into a single set of results. Now, by default, this performs something called a union distinct. And that means duplicates are removed based upon the full row comparison. So if there are any duplicates that are returned from the first or second query, in this case, they will automatically be removed. Right, so let's see this in action. I'll go ahead and clear the terminal. We'll go ahead and execute our endpoint again, 2.1. And this time you can see that we return the results. It looks like the correct results, but notice the ordering is completely off in terms of what we're expecting. So we start with 28, then 1, then 29, then 5, and 25, and 26, and 27. So when we do use the union, it won't respect the ordering. Now that might not be a massive issue because you can just simply order that, maybe at the front end, if this data has been sent back to the client application, or of course we can order it before we send it back to the client. Now, if we take a look at the SQL that's generated from this query, we can see that this is being processed at the database level. We can see that there is the first query, the first select query, and then the second select query, and with the union in between. So behind the scenes, what's happening here is that the Postgres database is performing the 2 queries, and then using Union to combine the data and, of course, removing any duplicates. So if you're looking for efficiency, readability, and you're not too concerned about precise ordering that might be achieved at the application level, then this approach using Union might be the preferred approach. Now, if you're looking for more challenges like this one, then do check out our Django ORM Query Freeview YouTube playlist. Now, if you're ready to master all the skills behind these queries, then do take a look at our Django ORM Mastery course. It's designed to take you from the ground up. Now, all the links to the playlist and course is in the video description. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for weekly promotions, discounts, and Udemy course giveaways.